She's Creations. Welcome back. It's been 2 months instead of one, but there's reasons. I was just too busy stitching. So that just means I have lots to show you. So that's kind of fun. Let's get into it, shall we? I have had a few new subscribers since my last video, so thank you and welcome. I'm Amy. Just for a quick catch up, I am American, but living in Switzerland. We have lived here for 25 years now, a little over 25 years, and so yeah, we straddle two worlds at all times. Anyway, let me show you. Let's just dive right into the cross stitch, okay? And I will tell stories as I go. So, in my last video, I showed that I had purchased a miter box with a saw and clamps to cut down frames. Well, I used it already. Now, I will say, I actually used it to cut down 2 different frames. However, one of them did not work as well, and it's because I need corner clamps to really hold. It's a slightly bigger frame, and so it needed some corner clamps. I've looked at several stores in Switzerland and in America and couldn't find either one. And so I am going to have to order one on Amazon, Germany, I hope, and wait till it comes. So I'm putting a hold on cutting down more frames because there's no point until I can clamp them and really get a nice fit. But for this one, it was small enough that I just kind of taped it with some tape to dry. Anyway, cute little Halloween finish. This was a much bigger frame, and I cut down the back as well so that I trimmed this. So everything is original to this frame. I have just shrunk it down. And it even still has the 2, I can hang it if I want, but I really thought it would be more of a stand-up, so I kept the back. So yeah, I'm very happy. It works fantastic. I have a stack of washed and ironed finishes waiting to be framed as soon as I can find a corner clamp. I was convinced I would find one when we were in America, and sadly, that was a lie. And so now I have to just keep looking. Had I known ahead of time, I could have ordered it on Amazon and had it sent to the hotel, but I waited till like the last day we were there to go looking, thinking the entire time it'll be there. It's not there. But that is my finish. My fully finished. And then I have a stitching finish but it's not a fully finished object. And this is, I showed you, it was a new start in my last video. These are the little sewing cards from Lori Holt, Be in My Bonnet. Yeah, I finished them all. Now I changed all the colors like I mentioned to have more purples and teals rather than some of the other colors. She had more reds and greens and things. I took those out. I mean, there's a little bit of like a dark pink, but not anything. And that will be finished into a cube. I finished this at the Stuttgart stitching meetup that we had. So that was very fun. It was a perfect fun stitch, but not too complicated to work on. Worked on it Friday at when we were at Zweigart itself and got it done. And immediately, one of the things I love about that meetup is there's always people, like a freebie table. People bring patterns that they finished and other people take them. And so I'm never going to stitch it again. But before I even brought them over to the main sharing table, I asked the people who were sitting at my stitching table, and my friend Ina took the set. So I'm happy that it went to a loving home and she can enjoy it. And yeah, those were that. I finished that pretty quickly, actually. And so the other thing I worked on at Stuttgart was I pulled out my full coverage. And I quickly worked on some more. Did I work on white? I think I did work on another bundle of white. And I have officially reached over 50%. Yay! And then I didn't really touch it for the entire month of May. I mentioned that I would probably be working on this in the evenings and working on my first Mirabilia ever during the day. That was a lie. I ended up only stitching my Mirabilia because I became obsessed with it, and you will see my progress at the end. But yes, I did finally reach over 50% on this, and so now my plan is do some of the more confetti stitches for a while, and then switch to some of the bigger areas of stitches, one color, and back and forth, so that I'm not stuck at the end with a whole bunch of confetti. But I mean, it's crazy how it's only 50% done, and yet it looks, you can totally tell what it is. I'm super happy with the method that I used. Where I didn't go block by block. I have just gone by color completing and traveling all over and letting the thread go where it goes. And I just feel like you get a sense, rather than being stuck up in a corner working on something boring the entire time, you can get a vision of what your thing's going to look like. And I much, much prefer that method. So that is that whip. Now, I also showed you that I had worked on my Harry Potter people from Daily Magic Stitch. Country Magic Stitch. Anyway, I ended up taking this to America as well because it is so good to work on the plane and to work on in the hotel room with not super great light. And I ended up getting an awfully lot done. Let me show you here. The arms are pretty much completely done. They're down there in the corner. And then there is his little bodies, his front and back. I've got enough done that I'm working on the back stitch on there. Doesn't he just look so good? Oh, he still needs his boots, but he's almost done. It was very hard to set him aside, but there were other things that I also really wanted to work on. But this, I'm really, really happy that I decided to do the front and the back at the same time, because like I said, it kept me motivated to keep working, finishing as a whole complete instead of just finishing the front and then quit giving up. But yeah, he looks so good. And the plastic canvas, like I said, you can't do the sewing method, but other than that, it's fine. It's fine to work on. And it's really nice to work on in not great lighting or on the airplane. So I did that while we were in America for my daughter's graduation. Also, another thing I worked on, I had to be very strategic with what I packed because we were bringing back all of my daughter's things. Like, she had lived in the States for 8 years, going to school, high school and college. And so she had a lot to bring back. Some of her things she's leaving there for when her sister comes to college in the fall, or in end of August actually. But she had books and all kinds of clothes and all kinds of things. So we ended up, my husband paid for each of us to have, rather than just one large bag, we had 2 large bags. And we packed them full. One was overweight. We just paid it because it was cheaper than shipping it and faster and quicker and more safe. Then there are some things that we put in storage at my brother-in-law's house. He very kindly agreed to be a holder for it, because when we go in August again to bring my daughter over to college, we will, our luggage will be full with all of her stuff that she wants to bring over, but coming back it will be emptier, so we will take the remaining bits of Sarah's stuff then. So I knew that I needed luggage space was going to be at a premium. So I only tried to bring a couple of things, and I tried to be very selective about what that was. And so that's why I brought the my little Ron. And then one other thing I brought to work on was my witch that I bought way back when we went to Kutzenhausen. It's a cross stitch weekend that's in France, that's right on the border between Germany and France. It's in the Alsace region, and it's it's a 3-day thing with tons of mostly French, but other European cross stitch designers come and sell their stuff. There's fabric dyers, there's floss dyers, lots of like little independent shops. It was really, really fun. And so I bought a witch pattern there, and it's I have it right here. And yes, it is raining behind me. It is from Tralala. And so I brought her. I did decide to go ahead. I was hemming and hawing last time I worked on her if I was going to do the little border around her, and I decided yes, I wanted her to be a little bit bigger as a stand-up. It's very wrinkly because I stitch in hand, and so I worked on. There's only like a couple flowers, and I did all the rest of that while we were also on vacation. But this one it was like a 36 count, and then I dyed it, so now it's like closer to a 40. So I am stitching 1/2. And so I needed a little bit better light, so I couldn't stitch on this as much, but I still got some done, and I was glad I brought it with. Because this is pretty boring, and so it was kind of fun to just have something to work on while I watched movies on the plane. A little bit. And while I was looking in this bag, I noticed I need to pull this out. It was a purchase that I made that I had completely forgotten about. I had sent it to my daughter, and so when I got there, she was like, "Hey, Mom, here's your thing you ordered," and I was like, "Oh!" And so let me show you what it is. It is from Just Another Button Company. It's one of those things where the pattern is free as long as you buy the button set. So there's all the adorable buttons. Oh Holy Night, and so I will also be stitching that nativity. Isn't that so cute? Now the angel to me is a little freaky looking, so I'm going to leave her off, but I will include everything else. So that was a fun little surprise. Could it perhaps be an indication that I bought too many things that I didn't remember? It could be, but I'm not accepting that as an indication. All right. Oh, and then there we have had 2 25ths. We've had April 25th and May 25th. So I did take a partial break during Mirabilia May to work on this. My leap year project. And I got all the leaves done in this tree, and I got several leaves done in this tree of that color. And then I worked a little bit more on the man, and I also started doing the outlining of her dress. But there's a mistake. And I have looked and looked and looked. This is supposed to meet up with this, but it's also supposed to be 1 stitch away from her apron. I don't know what I have done wrong, but I most definitely have done something wrong. It may require me ripping out the entire apron. I may just make her so that she has a very bodacious behind. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with it, but I wanted to get back to my Mirabilia, and so I just set it aside and said, that is future Amy's problem. I have worked on this enough today. So, yeah. That is that. And it's 2026, and this is supposed to be done in February of 28. And again, I think I'm making fantastic progress. It is amazing to me how much can get done if you just work on something 1 day a month, but you work on it religiously one day a month. And speaking of that, then my other one day a month project. Now I did not work on this on May 1st because I did not have it with me. I was in the States, but I worked on it June 1st. This is my chatelaine. This is the Polar Lights sampler. And I had been hemming and hawing. The last time I showed this to you, I had started this outline in the 939 and then realized it was supposed to be actually this variegated color from Weeks Dye Works. And so I had stopped working on the outline, the border, because I couldn't decide if I was going to pick it out and add the variegated, if I was going to maybe leave the bottom stitch, the dark 939, and then put the variegated just over the top, which would have involved just picking out one side because I had only had one side. But the more I looked at the pattern, I kind of like the contrast between the non-variegated and the variegated. And there's going to be more of this blue color over here on this side, on the other side of this border. And I thought, no, I like the contrast. To me, it makes the variegated stand out more. And so that I went ahead. That's what I worked on yesterday, because today's June 2nd. I worked on finishing that complete border all the way around. And then I added more of these leaves here. I did some of these and some of these. Working down. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And the whole time yesterday that I was working on it, I was thinking about my friend Marianne. Now, Marianne is a Swiss stitcher, but she was known, if any of you are in the Chatelaine Facebook group, Chatelaine support group, Marianne Mater, she was a great poster in that group. She was always full of encouragement and advice. She had stitched many, many chatelaines. They were gorgeous. And she sadly passed away from her cancer. And we just found out last week. So the whole time I was stitching on this, I was thinking of her because she's the one who encouraged me. She was giving me advice. I'm a little sad that she won't be there to give me any more advice, but I guess I can always go back and read any of her posts that are on the Chatelaine support group if I get in a bind and need some help. But yeah, she will be missed in our group. And as you can see, I stopped stitching and just left the needle and the thread hanging right there. It's time to get to bed. Marianne, you will be missed. Okay. I need to, before I finish showing you my last cross stitch project, I have to show you the things, my purchases, because that goes with Zweigart. And then I have to show you my purchases from the States. Okay? Because we got to do this in order. So one of the things I purchased, again, I mentioned in my last post, I'm just regular old Amy. But in my sphere of people I know are really cool, awesome people. And one of them is the magic and wonderful Leah Ravenga. She is such a sweetheart. I always think of her as this young girl. She's not. She's 30. She's a full-grown woman. But she's just so kind and just good. And I don't mean to demean her. She's just a cool person. And because she's so much younger than me, to me, I think of her as more like a daughter figure. I don't give her advice that way. That's not what I mean. I don't know what I mean. Anyway, she's awesome. She's cool. She came to Stuttgart to the meeting at Zweigart and happened to have some of the finishing packs. And so I didn't have to order it from her. I just bought it directly. Now this doesn't contain the Kreinik, but that's okay. I have some of that already, but it has the fabric and it has the fleece and it has the cute little corners for the book. I have signed up for this Alice in Wonderland stitch along from Living on the Rainbow. I have not started it. I have all the supplies. but I have been doing other things. I don't need to complete this with everybody else, but I wanted to have all the supplies from when I was ready to stitch it. I'm working on other things. So, but I got that, picked that up at Stuttgart. We got some gifts at Stuttgart, as always. Look at this beautiful key ring, scissor fob. Put it on a zipper. It's really cute, really gorgeous. And I am so sorry. I don't remember who any of these came from, except for Britta, wonderful Britta, who makes project bags and sells them. She made everybody a little pouch. And of course, because Alice in Wonderland, I got the one with Alice in Wonderland fabric. Isn't that adorable? And here's the thing. I sew enough that I know this looks simple, but was work. And the fact that she sews it so nicely and gave these away for free. There's amazing stitchers in America. There are amazing stitchers in Europe. And these German ladies are just the bomb. And then somebody else had brought these little packs. It's got a little charm on it. Again, you could attach something there. And then there were charms inside here and some little Tic Tacs. Let me pull this up. So these charms were not in the bag. These charms were, somebody had brought them and said you could just choose some. So let me, I don't know if this will show up. Let's see. It's a spool of thread. I really don't know if that'll show up, but I'm going to try. And then this is a cute, cute bundle of yarn. I am not a knitter, but I do crochet. So pick those up. Then somebody was giving away some fabric that they didn't want. And it was 25 count gridded Aida. So I snagged that because that's a big enough piece to do something with. And actually, this might not be 25 count. This might be 20 count. But free fabric's free fabric, baby. Not that I'm running out, but I just love free fabric. And then, of course, yes, I did buy some things. So let me... First, what I had planned to buy and what I picked up is more opalescent. This, I believe, is a 32 count for more ornaments and other things. I just love a good opalescent. So I have that. And then I wanted like a good neutrally color. Okay. And Marianne from Stitching Mama pulled out this fabric from the bargain bin. She was like, Amy, look at this. Isn't this fantastic? And I was like, yes, it is. She's like, should we split it? There's not that much left. And I said, yes. So we just had the sales lady roll it all out, cut it right down the middle, and we got it. Now, why is it in the bargain bin? Because it's one of those fabrics where there's a misdye. But the thing is, that looks cool. I like that very much. You could either put it this way or flip it upside down and have it be that way. So, pick that up. Then there was this fabric. It's like one of those, it's like a charcoal gray, chalkboard gray. But again, with the discoloration a little bit on the bottom. But it looks cool. And the rest of it is completely fine. It's got like you can see there's lines in it from the dyeing process. So I can totally see why they were like, we cannot sell this for full price. But for the minimum, the little price they were charging for it, I was happy to pay because it's a dark, but it's not black. Now, so far I haven't had trouble stitching with black, but I can very well see that someday my eyes may not be what they are now. So that will be good to have. Then this, I can't remember if this was in the Schnäppchen Ecke or if I just picked it up because it was gorgeous, but it was a blue opalescent. Oh, excuse me. I have no idea what I'm going to stitch on this. Oh, wait, that's not true. There was something that I want to stitch in like white, I think, or cream, and put on here. I wrote it down in my notes app. I'll figure it out later. And then there was this beautiful pink as well in the bargain bin. Again, because it's got discoloration on the bottom where the flat dye did not take completely. I just love this. It's the most beautiful dusky pink. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Mirabilis would look good on there. Valentine's Day would look beautiful on here. Beautiful, beautiful. And let me tell you again, I know I don't have access to a lot of stuff that you guys do in the States, but I can go directly to Zweigart and order fabric. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things of fabric here. Big things of fabric. These were all, I think the shortest piece is 1/2 meter. Most of them are a meter or more, okay? I paid like $55, $54 for all this fabric. Thank you, Zweigart. And the ladies they have working there are the nicest, kindest, most patient ladies when we swarm that place all at once. They're so great. So that was what I bought at Zweigart. It was lovely as always. The visit, those ladies are just so awesome. My only wish is that I could clone myself, because I want to see some of my really good friends like Claire and Ina and Francie that I don't see all the time. I mean, I see them on a somewhat regular basis, but definitely not every week, and sometimes not even every month. I want to hang out with them and talk with them. But then there's all these other cool ladies like Francie from Berlin and Marion and Evie. I can't forget Evie. And so there's like all these other different ladies that like they're all so cool and so interesting, and you can learn so much from them. Jackie, my good friend Jackie from Switzerland was there. Like I wish, no, Jackie wasn't there this time. That's right. She was at a knitting thing, I think. Oh my gosh, I'm completely, yeah, no, because we didn't drive together, and usually if she's going, we drive together. Anyway, so I just wish I could talk to everybody. But it was so lovely. And thank you again to Sabina, Marion, and Evie. They're all German speaking. Evie watches my English ones. They organized this. They receive no pay. And it's a lot of pieces in and here because they're organizing an entire weekend. The hotel we stayed at is always so good and let us sit there in the lobby for a very long time till like midnight. Lovely. My only disappointment was I wanted to go out to lunch or to dinner with everybody Thursday night, and I passed 4 accidents on the way. So instead of it taking me a little over 2.5 hours, it took me 4 hours to get there. So I missed dinner with everybody, but I still got to stay in the lobby and stitch for quite a while till like 11:30 or something at night. And I have to say, I was just grateful I wasn't in any of the accidents, right? Some of them had happened very recently, I could tell, because people were still like picking up pieces of their car off the road. And like talking to the police who had just gotten there. And so I was grateful that, yes, it slowed me down. Yes, it was frustrating, but at least I wasn't in any of the accidents. And it was a great visit, and they'll organize it again in the fall. And I will go for as long as they organize them because they are lovely. Absolutely lovely. I don't go, there aren't a whole lot of retreats here in Europe, although they're starting to be more. But these little get-togethers, this is like a little mini retreat. I'm so appreciative to the people who organize them. And it means that pretty much about every six weeks to 2 months, I can get together with Stitchy friends. And that, to me, is fantastic. Okay, so we're in Utah. One of the reasons we were there, well, the main reason we were there is my daughter graduated college. But my daughter-in-law, my son's girlfriend, also graduated the same day. So we drove up the night before. They live in the north. We drove up the night before, hung out with them, took them out to dinner, took them shopping, saw their cute apartment, met my grandcat in person. I've only ever talked to him on the phone, and he came and ate a treat out of my hand. He's a very shy cat, and but he came and ate a treat out of my hand, so that made my day. And he hissed at my husband, so grandcat knows what's up. Um, but the thing is, on the way, guess what we did? We drove right past Ogden, and I said, "Sweetheart, we need to make a pit stop to Shepherd's Bush. It's this cross stitch store, and I've heard about it, and I've never been, and we're gonna be literally driving right past it." And he said, "Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes." And I said, "I'm gonna need 15." I took 20. It was so wonderful, and I already have plans now. When we go back in August, I'm like, I am going to go up there, hang out with some Stitchy friends, and spend the day either at Shepherd's Bush or nearby Shepherd's Bush and just stitch with them, because that store, you hear people talk about it. It's tiny, okay? It's tiny, and it is crammed full of wonderful, amazing, beautiful things. So many models. Oh, and the smell. It's like old building and linen and fiber and paper from the patterns and like perfume from ladies visiting. It is the most pleasant, wonderful, like I was just breathing it in. It smelled so good. And the lady who was working there, one of the owners, she kind of laughed at me, but I was like, "I'm sorry. This is amazing." I don't know if anybody's told you, but that might be the best thing about the store is the way it smells. I loved it. So I shopped I was going for my dear friend, Martina, the German stitcher. Her flight to Stitch North got canceled last minute. Her and her daughter were planning to go. They were going to have this whole big trip. And because of the orange pumpkin and his hissy fits and his decisions that affect the rest of the world, there was no fuel for her flight. And so her flight got canceled. And there was no go on this other flight. It was just, you're out. She could not go. And it crushed me for her because she was so excited. And so I said, "Martina, I am going to Shepherd's Bush. Shall I pick you out a little treat to kind of, as a in German it's called a Trost gift, a comfort gift." And she said, "Yes, please." And so I went in and I asked the lady, I said, she's like, "Are you looking for anything in particular?" And I said, "I'm wondering if you have any," I said, "I know your patterns are famous and that you can buy them in shops all over the world." I said, "But do you have anything that's exclusive that I can only get if I come to your shop?" And she said, "Yes. And I don't always have them because it depends on my framer, but I happen to have a few." And she took me to this little bin that was full of exclusive kits that were all done up, ready to go. And the frames, the mats, were painted by Jill Rensel. And so I picked out two that I loved both of them. And I took a picture and I showed Martina and I said, "You can choose which one you want." So she chose the other one, and it was a garden one. And this is the one I took then, which, I mean, you're at Shepherd's Bush, you have to get a sheep. And so it comes with all the floss and the fabric and this beautiful, like I said, hand painted by Jill Rensel mat. That was perfect. That was exactly what I was looking for. They had probably 5 different ones kitted up, and I kept hemming and hawing because I'm purchasing for somebody else, and I was trying to think, like, what things has she shown before? What things do I think she would gravitate towards? Because she'd already had enough disappointment. I didn't want her to be disappointed anymore. So I picked that up. And then she and I are working on the Chatelaines together, the first of every month. and she needed several flosses and like petite treasure braids. And so I looked, I wasn't able to find everything, but I found several of the flosses for her. And then because I was going through the treasure braid bin already looking for Martina's stuff, I found these two. Are these called for anywhere? No, but this is the most beautiful color in the world, and a shiny black, that always comes in handy. So I picked those up to add to my little stash. Okay, so then we flew back home to America. I mean, to Switzerland. See, they're both home. That's the trouble. And it was May. Now, I did not bring this with me, so I couldn't start on it until May 2nd, May 3rd, when we landed. And then I worked on it nonstop. And it's my Lady Alexandra that I purchased from my friend Claire. My first ever actual memorabilia. And I worked on it the entire month of May, every single day. I did not miss a day. Some days were, there was a lot going on and I could only work on it for a little bit. But look how much I got done. I didn't think I would get done in the month, but I got done so much. And I will tell you that it was a little tricky in some places because I don't know exactly why, but Miss Corbett seems to like to use symbols that are very similar to one another. A slash going this way and a slash going this way. And an arrow going this way and an arrow going that way. And a plus sign that's really small and a percentage sign that's really small. So they look kind of the same if you're just glancing at the pattern. So at one point, I had stitched this dark gray in the dark brown. And I was like, looks kind of weird, but you know what? A lot of people use dark brown as a shading, blending for a dark black. And then I looked again and realized, oh no, that dark brown's only in her hair. This is supposed to be dark gray. The arrows were going opposite directions. So I ripped that out. Fortunately, I hadn't done all of the gray. It was just in a couple little areas. Ripped that out, and I was like, oh yeah, the gray looks even better. And when you look at it up close, when you're like this, you're like, man, there is a lot of color contrast in between these. I don't know. But I kept saying, everybody says, trust the process with the memorabilia. And I did. And then you take a picture. Once every week I would take a picture and post it on Instagram of my progress. And I was like, I would see a post and I would go, hot dang, that is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. And I tried every evening after I had stitched all day on it, before I went to bed, I laid it out and I stepped back and I would look at it as a whole complete piece. And that kept me motivated to keep going because I could see how beautiful it was turning out. My daughter absolutely loves it. She is super excited. I am going to finish this before she goes to college. And so she can get it framed and I can get it framed for her and she can take it with her. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that caused me to then go on 1, 2, 3 Stitch and look at Mirabilia pattern. Well, first I looked at the Mirabilia website and showed them to my other daughter. And I was like, would you like to pick out a fancy lady? And she said, yes, please. And so she picked the Gypsy Mermaid. 1, 2, 3 Stitch has already sent the pattern and the bead pack. It should be here sometime the end of this week or the beginning of next week. I don't know when I will start it for her, but it is there. I have purchased it. And I will, my third daughter, when she has a minute, because she's on a different schedule. She usually sleeps in the day and is up in the night. Her ADH meds are not working quite right, so we're still working on the dose. But anyway, when I have a moment with her, I'm going to show her and let her pick out one too, because it's beautiful. It's lovely. I Oh, um, as you can see, all the beads are not put in. I just gotta show it again. All the beads are not put in yet. I'm leaving spaces for that. I'm stitching this in hand, but I will use a uh, hoop for when I go to put the beads in. But I had to get the back stitch in because I needed her beautiful face. I needed her. I wanted to see her. It kept me motivated of like, this looks so good. I'm going to keep going. Oh, I did the skin 2/2 just like it calls for. I tried to do the 1/1. I couldn't figure it out. It looked weird because I wasn't sure what I was doing. And I decided, look, if Nora says they are charts them 2/2, then who am I to say it should be done 1/1? And you know what? She looks gorgeous. She looks gorgeous. So I just left it. I did it how it was charted. I was out and about one day with my daughter here in Zurich, and we stopped at a department store. It's called Manor, and we just went to their craft area just to see. And I found these three. Now, it's not really floss. I believe it's more like crochet thread, because if you look at it, and it's got these like little tiny, tiny sequins. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see those tiny sequins on there? But it was so pretty, and I thought it might be fun as an accent. And so I got in my cross stitching. Accent in my cross stitching. I sometimes forget to finish sentences. So I got these three colors that I thought were kind of basic and could be used lots of different places. My idea, it might be ugly and I might rip it out, but my idea is to put a strand of this in some places, maybe like around the outside of the dress, and see what it looks like. Just to see. It might be horrible and I might not like it, but it might be pretty. This pattern doesn't call for any Kreinik at all. It was one of her earlier patterns. But it does have lots of beads, but I think it could use a little extra bling. So we're gonna see. But I thought that was a fun purchase. Okay. My daughter's home. She is applying to jobs, teaching jobs, and it is so fun to have her back in the house. I'm just going to hold Alexandra up here while we chat. It was so fun to have her back in the house. There's just, my husband commented again today. He's like, there's just a different feel, a different mood in the house, because Sarah just, the siblings interact with her differently than they interact with each other. And she just is almost always in a good mood. When she's in a bad mood, immediately. But most of the time she's in a very good mood. She just has a fun laugh. She gets them to like, hey, let's go try this. Hey, let's go do this. Hey, let's do that. Whereas, hey, come play a game. Hey, come hang out. Where usually everybody kind of retreats to their own room. So it's been really, really nice. And I love it because she is my kitchen fairy. I'll get up to go. I don't like to do dishes in the evening. I'll put away the food from dinner and then I'm like, I'll worry about it in the morning. But sometimes she's an early morning riser and she's a Morgan person. She's a morning person. And I'll come out and she's already cleaned up the kitchen. She doesn't do it all the time and I don't expect it. But when she does, it is a very nice surprise and I'm very appreciative. So it's been very fun to have her here and we're very glad that she's home. It's been a good thing. And her sister that are sharing rooms, they're so cute and we can hear them giggling and chatting and it's very fun. That, I think, is me. If I've forgotten something, oh well. I will be back at the end of the month or the beginning of July to show you what else I've got up this month. I have no idea. My plans are keep working on the full coverage, but also there's some other things I want to start for. Oh, I guess I could show you that. I kitted up. Actually, I don't know. I think I want to do a few July 4th, not really July 4th, but more semi quincentennial projects. I have at least one, that Liberty, that Lizzie Kate Liberty that I bought in Vorons. It's the French part of Switzerland when we went to the fabric store, and I have a few other ones. I don't feel very like America's the greatest. I don't feel like that. But 250 years is kind of a big deal. And because the administration is not celebrating in a way that I think is properly honoring it, I want to do my part. And so I have picked out several, um, yeah, more America themed cross stitches smalls to work on that I think I'm going to kit up. So I'm going to try to have them done for July 4th. But in the meantime, I'll work on my full coverage. Uh, because I can cross stitch in the day and at night. So work on one during the day and one at night. And then whatever else I feel like, that's just kind of how I roll. It's my hobby. I think we should just cross stitch on what we want to cross stitch. And if you make too many plans, it kind of kills the creative buzz and takes the fun out of it. So that's me. I will see you in a month. Bye.